tonight we're here with Jeremy Jackson, and Jeremy has been going through some things recently with the Westmoreland County Courthouse, and I just wanted to give Jeremy the opportunity to bring his message to the community. And again, you don't have to live right next door, even within the same township as a person that's struggling. When you live in America as an American citizen, you have a duty and a responsibility to all other American citizens that, the bare minimum you can do is listen. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to ask Jeremy a couple questions and we're going to get his story on the record. So, Jeremy, I think at this point, probably be best to just give people a brief rundown, just who you are.
Yes.
Who are you?
Yeah, great. It is great to meet you, Nick. Today's the first day we met in person. I'm a 44-year-old man here in Westmoreland County, a father of three, technically, two boys and a daughter. I'm a combat wounded veteran, served my country, was injured when I was deployed overseas. Yeah, I keep busy doing a lot of stuff here around the house and t-shirts and designs and whatever. So that's basically me. I'm nothing special. I'm just an ordinary citizen that is in the middle of trying to wrong a right with the county, and the way they took my children off me is really bad. And I don't know, it's unconstitutional to say the least, and it's very disheartening, and can't believe that people exist out there and get away with doing this to people every day, especially good parents. So that's what I'm trying to do here, is bring attention to this corruption in his county. The first main thing is that, and get my kids back, obviously.
So this issue stems from a loss of custody. When did this happen? And, as much as you're willing to share, what were the circumstances of this?
It took place around April 2024. I initially filed to get more custody of both of my sons. And when I did that, I had their mother served. And shortly after she was served the papers that I wanted to get them more than 50-50, which I had 50-50 at the time.
Now, what was the reason for wanting more custody?
Oh, right. It was because they're boys. I'm their dad. They're getting close to being 18. And it was just my duty to feel like I wanted to be there more in their lives as a man, teach them how to be young men, have responsibility.
So there's absolutely nothing malicious about wanting your boys more, but just your acceptance as your duty as a father that, it really falls squarely on your shoulders to teach them how to be young men.
Absolutely. You're 100% correct. It had nothing to do with their mother, it had nothing to do with money or child support or any other thing other than being their dad and trying to teach them both how to be healthy, strong, smart young men that are respectable. And that's it.
Okay, so you filed for this, you wanted more than 50-50. Did you had a conversation, I would assume, with their mother before doing this, or was it kind of a surprise for her?
I think it was kind of a surprise for her in a way. When I filed for 50-50, we talked about that, and at the time, she was all glad and happy. Yeah, I want you to be in their lives as much as you can. And, that's fine. Sure. So I did talk to the children, my two sons. I talked to them for months ahead of time before I actually filed the paperwork, because I didn't want to go through all the trouble of filing the paperwork and then have them say they don't want to do it or feel pressured. So I took time and, talked to them every once in a while. Hey, how do you guys feel about staying with me a little bit more? So I could teach you things and stuff like that. They're all on board, agreeing with it, and we're happy to do so. And I said, okay, guys, time's coming. Should I go file the papers, or do you not want me to? I said, if you don't want me to, it's okay. I don't want to pressure them in any way, and I didn't. And I filed the paperwork. She got it. And not much longer after she received the paperwork, that's when all the trouble started. She started a false accusation about me giving my oldest son a marijuana vape then, and she filed for emergency custody. And that's where a lot of the problem stems, is from that incident right there. Because I never did that. I would never do that. The mother.
Well, if I'm correct in saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, and without getting into detail about your profession, but your profession prohibits you from using drugs, correct?
Yes, I never did.
It's sort of an option for you without sacrificing your livelihood and everything you've built for yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's another part of this is later down the road with part of this whole ordeal is I had to go get a drug and alcohol evaluation because of the claims that were put against me. Um, I did, and I was clear. I gave a urinalysis that had nothing but my own medication that I take, which is prescribed by a doctor. And that's it. No drugs, no alcohol, nothing. So that accusation after that clearance of, I'm sorry, CYS was involved too. They actually investigated the whole thing, and the CYS caseworker was a very good lady. She actually talked to me. She actually did her job and investigated the accusations against me and straight up told me, I believe you 100%. I see what's going on here. I don't believe your wife and I don't believe your kids. I visited them twice at their own house. So she cleared me from that aspect.
Which is honestly extremely refreshing to hear because we always hear of these horror stories with, the Child Protective Services either overstepping the bounds and taking kids that shouldn't be taken. So
Right.
refreshing to hear that they did right by you. So at this point, what we have, you want a little more custody, a little more time with your boys because at the age they're at, you feel you have some lessons to teach. This upsets their mother, who then turns around and claims that you're giving the eldest son drugs in the form of marijuana, THC. So they see the child services does an investigation. They clear you. You have to go do a drug and alcohol evaluation, take a urine test. You come back clean. What was the recommendation from the drug and alcohol facility? I would assume at that point, clean urine, no history of drugs. You're good to go.
Thank you for saying that. And yes, that's what any rational human being would think and assume after that. So I was sent to SPHS, which is Southwestern Pennsylvania Behavioral Health or Services, whatever. It's in Greensburg. And I think it's where the court sends everybody, or they get kickbacks back and forth, send them here, send them there. So anyway, I did go up there. I did do the urinalysis. I got a bunch of questions asked to me by about a 19-year-old girl that worked for SPHS, the behavioral health place. Interviewed me, asked me all kinds of stuff. I passed. I said, okay, in order to get I actually had criminal charges put on me. We kind of skipped past that, but I had two criminal charges put on me: corruption of minors and endangering the welfare of children.
And this is because of the accusation that you gave your son the TAC pen. Was there any sort of, so did they just take her word for it and file charges? I mean, was there anything they had other than her word to put those charges on you?
Now, you know what? I'm being 100% honest here. This all could have been avoided with a simple phone call from the mother to me. What happened was my oldest son has a drug problem, and a lot of it was pot. I knew he was doing it after I'd been told by some friends. So I'm like, how can I combat this without being unsuccessful? So what I did was got a CBD vape pen, okay, which is legal. It's not drugs. And when my kid was here, after I had to talk with him about drugs and his medication that he already takes for ADHD, I said, it's not a good idea to be taking this stuff, man. You don't know what you're going to get. And if you're going to do something, I'd rather you do it at home. So what I was doing as a father was trying to be tactical about getting him off drugs, which I gave him a CBD vape. And it was one time actually at the house here. And I didn't tell him it was a CBD vape because I wanted him to think it was a marijuana vape. So therefore he wouldn't go somewhere else to get it and get poisoned or killed. So what he did was mother must have instructed him to take pictures of the vape and a text message screenshot because my son asked me, can I have the indica or something like that? And that's what the name of the CBD vape pen is, which I still have it here in an evidence bag. And I said, sure. So what they did, she went to the police with that text message where he asked, can I have the indica? And I said, yeah. So they went off of that and just assumed that I was talking about marijuana. Never called me. The state police didn't investigate at all. Never called me, never visited my house, nothing. They just sent me charges in the mail. And I had to go get fingerprinted and photographed like a common criminal before I even had a hearing. Um, so, it was very disheartening. All this stuff was retaliatory against me. I had nothing but good intentions, trying to get my sons more, and to have all these accusations thrown at me that they did. And I sit here today, over a year later, cleared of any wrongdoing, cleared of any criminal charges, and I still don't have my kids back, and now I'm alienated from them on top of it. Their mother did a great job, and whoever else that's in their circle did a great job of having that happen, because now My oldest son, I try to reach out. He just curses me out, says he hates me, don't want me in his life. My youngest son don't even answer me no more. So it's a really, really corrupt system, man. And I'm doing everything I can to do my part and help this never happen again to another good father or mother, and especially the children.
Well, we definitely go into more details, but I just wanted to get through basically getting out to the public, a basic idea of what you're going through, who you are, and now we can get to the good part, which you already started to touch on. And my question to you would be, what are you doing about this? So what did you do? Did you, oh, woe is me, life's unfair. I guess I'll just go over here by myself. I mean, what are you, Jeremy Jackson, doing about these injustices?
That's a good question, and I will gladly answer that. Yes, it is hard. I'm a pretty strong guy mentally, physically somewhat, but especially mentally. But it is very, very difficult to be without my sons after being with them since they were born. And there's a lot of anger and rage and frustration and heartbreak and all kinds of stuff going on because the courts allowed this to even happen. Uh, so I'm doing all I can do by filing a federal lawsuit, which I already started. It's been going on since roughly January or February, maybe April. I don't know, but it's been going on for a few months now. I am going after all of Westmoreland County, everybody that had a hand in taking my kids' custody off of me. Um, they're all named in the lawsuit. There's about 15 people, including a judge, lawyers, state police, CYS, SPHS, child support. That's domestic relations. That's another one. I mean, we can go on for days about some of the stuff there. But I did dive a lot deeper into court actors that I'm suing. And I'll tell you what, Nick,
Now, when you say, not to interrupt, when you say you are your lawyer on behalf of you
no,
is suing?
no, I am. I'm pro se. I'm a pro se litigant. I'm doing it on my own.
So you are doing this completely no lawyer, just on your own.
That's correct. I'm doing it on my own. After my experience with the last lawyers I had, with this whole ordeal that's going on, they're actually involved in my lawsuit. I didn't.
The lawyers that you had used to rectify this ended up being named as
Yes, sir.
defendants.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, God bless the founding fathers. They had the foresight to know. I'm sure that we would be in a position one day where we cannot even trust the lawyers or the court officials. So absolutely have the God-given right to represent yourself. And so for anybody who's not even caught up with the legal system, that sounds like an extremely difficult process. I mean, so much so that I would assume most people would not be able to do it. Was that your experience, or is it easier than they want you to think it is?
Well, when I first started looking into filing a federal lawsuit on my own, I never sued anybody, never been involved in nothing like that. I did a lot of it on my own. I had some help from some people to get it started, which is a great start. And then from there, I just started on my own. Ever since this happened, I've been in my office studying laws pertaining to my case, court motions, proceedings, rules, everything. I mean, honestly, it's not easy. It takes a lot of time, a lot of dedication out of your day and your life to move forward and file the right things, do the right things. I mean, there's a lot to learn, and it is kind of dangerous doing it on your own. But I'll tell you what, the experience I had with lawyers, I'll never use one again, like you said, because I used them to try to rectify a situation that happened, and they ended up not doing their job. And I did file disciplinary board,
Complaints.
complaints against them, and they said they're going to drop him. There's nothing they could do. I mean, it's just they're all covering each other. So
So let me ask you this. How useful would it have been, do you think, had this have happened to you and there to have been an already established organization with resources that could have maybe cut down on some of your time in your own personal office where they could have just, oh, this is your problem. Here's what we do, X, Y, Z.
yeah, I mean that would have been amazing to have. And I have heard there are some out there, but around here know.
Yeah, my experience has been that there are, and they're primarily in Allegheny County that don't service Westmoreland. I believe there's a pro bono law firm working out of Greensburg called Summit Law. And they do deal with certain civil things, but nobody wants to help you go after the elected officials, the judges, the police, which, I think that's one thing that we as the public should keep in mind. Not all of these people are bad in these different professions, but a majority of them do send their kids to the same schools. They go to the same country clubs because when you're involved in the law enforcement profession, there are certain people that have a disdain for you, whether you're a good one or a bad one. So, they do tend to stick together.
Yeah, there are, like I said, I have nothing against, judges and our criticisms and police officers. So
I see that so many times when the citizen like yourself comes forward with a legitimate grievance, and when it involves the legal system and the officers, it's almost like a knee-jerk reaction from the public to automatically assume that you are some, anti-police, anti-government, defund it all. I want socialism, when
right.
and I understand where that knee-jerk reaction may come from because there are good people in those professions, but that's every profession.
Right.
Every profession, there's good guys getting persecuted and there's bad guys getting away with stuff. And, the law enforcement, judicial, it's the same game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not out. Like I said, I'm not out to. I didn't want to do this. I never want to be put in a situation to begin with. But I'll be damned if I sit there and allow anybody to take my children off me for no good reason. I'm not gonna. It's not gonna happen.
I would be so un-American, Jeremy, if you allowed that to happen. Let me tell you, if you allowed the state to come in and take your children from you and you did nothing, I mean, that's about as un-American, I think, as you could get.
You're spot on with that, and I don't have nothing to lose. I'm not afraid of no courts, no nothing, because I know I don't have nothing to be afraid of. I didn't do anything wrong. They did, and if anybody should be afraid, it should be them.
100%.
They have no idea the amount of things that I have on them, and who I know that feeds me information that's 100% accurate, legit, and we never know what the future holds for a lot of these people. And that's the main goal here, is to hold them all accountable.
Absolutely.
And, my main goal is to get my children back, which obviously will be number one. But right up there next to number one is holding those people accountable, because now they did this and I'm alienated from my kids. My sons don't want to talk to me. I've been turned into a monster. And, it's really heartbreaking to have it happen, but it pisses you off at the same time. And, once I'm pissed, you know what? Look out, because if you did something wrong with me, especially take my kids, I'm coming after you. And I don't mean that, physical harm.
Oh, absolutely not. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, essentially what we're getting at is if you tread on me, I'm going to put the full weight of the American Constitution right on top of your head.
You got that right.
Every right that's in there, the fine print and all, I'm coming.
I got a lot of people that are backing me up.
100%.
I know you do too.
100%.
There ought to be more people like you and I. And I'm sure there are.
They're popping up. And you understand, Jeremy, I know where I'm at, and with doing what I'm doing, I may be the first person to have ever confronted the establishment in the manner that I am, and they don't know what to do about it. And that's fine, because we're going to, and you as well, we're going to keep operating within our constitutional rights, the laws of this beautiful country. And, at the end of the day, win, lose, or draw in the courts, because, we know how corrupt it could be. I believe there is an ultimate authority where everybody will get their final day of judgment. And, I sleep a little easier at night knowing that, guys like you are out here doing what you're doing. I'm doing the best I can, but there's something way bigger than all of us overseeing this entire show.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. And like I said, you know, I heard about your story just by simply going through Facebook. I seen it and then decided to check it out one day. And, being from North Huntington myself, growing up there most of my life, I was really kind of shocked and surprised to hear that police department has done what it's done to you. Kind of not shocked, I guess, in a way, but, it's sad, because they could have handled it a lot better. Just like the county and the judges could have handled my case a lot better. They could have did a lot more things instead of ripping kids away from their father And in your situation, they could have did a lot more things for you because your lady and your child were seriously hurt, and they turned a blind eye to justice instead of doing the right thing. And you gave him many opportunities, I know.
I tried. I mean, just as you stated, I don't want to be doing what I'm doing either, Jeremy. But it's like, at the end of the day, for me, there's three things I can do. The third one's not an option. The first one would be what I'm doing. The second, which is exercising my constitutional rights. The second thing would be some sort of like extremist thing. And I'm not an extremist. I still have a lot of faith. I have too much faith in this country to allow these bad actors to turn me into an extremist.
Well, that'll be next. We'll be extreme.
And the founding fathers were a bunch of tea-throwing terrorists, right? I mean, if that was a term back then, terrorists, that's exactly what they would have been calling them. So, and the third option, which is not an option, is to do nothing. And, that's what I'm hoping a lot of people can gain from, hopefully us sharing these stories with them. And I hope there's many more to reach out and we can do this. But yeah, there are things we can do. You don't just have to roll over and accept these things. It is a difficult road, but it's well worth it. Cause, like I said, win, lose, or draw in the end, when you take a stand against a government who's oppressing its people, you're doing God's work.
You're right. You're doing work for yourself that you're entitled to.
Absolutely.
And liberties that we deserve, simple liberties such as
Well, further, I think the last statistic I read, it was an estimated 1.4 million Americans have died over the history of this country defending, these ideas, this shining city on a hill. So it's so hard for me to, be as well read in history as I am, there's a Civil War musket hanging in my father's house. I love this country. The good and the bad of it. I mean, it's not a perfect country. We are not perfect people living in it. So to see these things happening to you, to be experiencing what's happening to my son and his mother, it makes me sick. But we can do things like we're doing right now, and there will be many more videos that come. I think where we should leave it here for the people are two things. First and foremost, is there any resources you're currently using now to get your story out or to find help and guidance, whether it be a social media platform or...
Yeah, actually there is. It's a good question. And just as touch on what you was touching on there with people coming forward, all I can do is say, don't be afraid. There's nothing to be scared of. Yes, they were intimidating. Yes, you might be scared at first, but you know what? If they did you wrong and they violated your rights and broke laws and did things to you, don't back down from them, because we need more people like myself. Not that I'm anybody's hero, and Nick.
Straight on numbers.
We don't look as ourselves as heroes or anything like that. We look at ourselves as Americans,
The way the countries is they made.
and we want things to go the right way. No more corrupt shit. That's what we're trying to do here. So with that said, I use Facebook. I don't use a lot of different things. I've been trying to reach out to other people to do podcasts to get the story out in the public, because there's a lot of other people,
Absolutely.
men and women, mothers and fathers that are going through the same things I'm going through, and we should have a big network to support each other. I do have a page called Justice Watch Westmoreland. It's on Facebook. Please check it out. It's being investigated by the county sheriff from Judge Benelia.
I was told I'm under investigation too. That's what they do. They investigate those who love this country and do not want to see it destroyed, because the ultimate agenda seems to be to destroy this country, to just hand it over to the government and say, do with us as you will.
Did you know that's a violation of my rights and the laws?
Oh, 100%.
Having my page investigated?
100%.
I guess some people are going to find out the hard way, Nick. That's what we're here for. We're not going to run away. We're sleep where you is today, buddy.
They say a hard head makes a soft ass. So, we're just going to keep on going. So I think we got a good piece for them to start and getting to know you and your story. And we will definitely be getting more out here. We'll see what the schedules look like and hopefully get on a certain schedule that we can get these out to the people. But, would you like to close out and say anything else to the people, Jeremy?
Yeah, man. I just, us two working together now. Well, we both have our own things going, but working together meaning bouncing ideas off each other, finding new things out with laws and what things we can do to combat certain things. That's what everybody can do. If you've been in a situation like this, reach out to us, reach out to anybody that's been in this situation. We're always, we're busy, but I'm sure if you reached out, we'd be glad to kind of help you. We don't give legal advice. We're not lawyers. But we can steer you the right way, kind of get you where to start. And, with that said, thanks for listening to that part of my story. It's a long story. There's a lot more details to it. And I'd love to get it out to you guys. As Nick said, we'll have more videos for you, with both of us. So stay tuned for that. And thank you guys for watching and having me on. And Nick, thank you very much for, having me on here and taking the time out. And I hope the best for you and your families.
Absolutely. You as well. It's my pleasure.